She had 12 seconds to decide. Let the Alpha King drink poison champagne and die, or kiss the most dangerous predator alive in front of 300 werewolves and become prey. Melissa's hand trembled as she gripped the serving tray. Security guards with eyes that glowed amber in the chandeliers turned their heads toward movement. His fiancée's perfect smile never wavered as she raised her glass. And Melissa did the one thing a human waitress should never do in a room full of wolves. She stepped into the light. Before this story begins, I need you to do something. Drop a comment and tell me if you believe a human could survive in a world ruled by werewolves. Your comments keep these stories alive. Don't forget to subscribe. What Melissa does next will make your heart stop. Let's dive into a story about the woman who saved an alpha king by breaking every rule of survival. The ballroom went silent in stages. First, the conversations near her died as werewolves caught her scent, human, terrified, moving with purpose through a crowd designed to make her invisible. Crystal glasses paused halfway to lips. Heads turned, tracking her movement with the patient focus of apex predators watching wounded prey limp into the open. Second, the guard shifted. 6 of them, positioned in a protective arc around the raised dais, their hands drifting toward weapons that would drop her before she reached the 3rd step. Their eyes blazed amber, wolf rising just beneath the skin. Third, the whisper started. Sharp, vicious, confused. Is that the waitress? What is she doing? Someone stop her. Adam Steele did not move. He stood at the center of the dais, devastating in a midnight black suit that made his dark hair and silver eyes even more striking, exactly as he appeared in the image broadcast to every packed territory in the region. The Alpha King, the most dangerous wolf in the Pacific Northwest. And completely unaware that the champagne glass in his hand would stop his heart in 45 seconds. Melissa climbed the first step. Security moved. Hands reached for her. A growl rumbled from someone's chest, the sound vibrating through the floor like distant thunder. She climbed the second step. Elena Volkova, draped in an ivory gown that made her look like something carved from moonlight and malice, turned with the slow grace of a woman who had never been challenged. Her red lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. Security removed her. Melissa climbed the 3rd step. Her heart was beating so hard she could feel it in her throat, behind her eyes, in the tips of her shaking fingers. The recording device in her pocket burned against her hip, proof of Elena's conspiracy, captured when Melissa had refilled glasses in the private lounge and heard everything. Every hired rogue, every planned distraction, every second of the assassination timed to the engagement toast. Adam's silver eyes locked on hers. For one suspended heartbeat, she saw the question there, the calculation, the absolute certainty that he could end her life before she completed her next breath. So Melissa did the only thing that would force him to listen. She kissed him. The room exploded. Gasps tore through the air like claws through silk. Chairs scraped violently as wolves surged to their feet, instinct screaming at the transgression. A glass shattered somewhere behind her. Someone snarled, a sound too animal to be human, too furious to be controlled. The cameras, broadcasting live to every pack in the territory, swiveled and zoomed, capturing the moment a human waitress put her mouth on the Alpha King. The kiss lasted 3 seconds, but in those 3 seconds, Melissa felt the world tilt sideways. Adam's lips were warm, shockingly soft against hers. His whole body went rigid with surprise, then something else, something that made the air around them crackle with barely contained power. She felt his wolf rise, a presence so massive it made her lungs seize. As she pulled back, her lips barely leaving his, she pressed the recording device into his palm. Her mouth brushed his ear, her voice shaking despite every effort to sound steady. Listen to it. Don't drink. Don't react. Hands seized her immediately. Security yanked her backward, so violently her feet left the ground. Pain shot through her shoulders as clawed fingers dug in. Someone shouted her name, Marcus, the head of catering, his voice cracking with horror. Someone else growled a threat in the pack's ancient language, the words jagged and promising blood. What is the meaning of this? Elena's voice cut through the chaos like a silver blade. All elegance had shattered. Her face was twisted with humiliation and fury, her wolf flashing gold in her eyes. Get that human filth away from him. Now. Melissa didn't struggle. She couldn't have if she tried. The guards holding her could snap her spine without effort. But her eyes never left Adam's face. She needed to see something. Anything that told her she hadn't just committed suicide for nothing. For 3 agonizing seconds, his expression was unreadable. Then his fingers closed around the recording device. It was the smallest movement, barely a twitch of his hand. But in a room full of wolves attuned to every micro-expression of their alpha, it changed everything. Enough. Adam's voice wasn't loud. He didn't shout. He didn't need to. The single word dropped into the chaos like a stone into still water, and the ripples silenced everything. Conversations cut off mid-word. Movement stopped. Even Elena froze, her mouth still open on whatever venomous thing she'd been about to say. The guards holding Melissa tightened their grip, claws pricking through her uniform. Alpha, she attacked you. Adam turned his head slightly, and his silver eyes flashed bright, wolf rising to the surface, ancient and absolute. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of every dominance hierarchy in the room. Every wolf instinct that said obey or die. I said, he repeated, soft as falling snow and twice as cold. Let her go. They released her instantly, stepping back as if she'd burned them. A shockwave of disbelief rolled through the ballroom. Wolves exchanged glances, confusion and suspicion warring on their faces. The cameras zoomed tighter, capturing every second of the Alpha King defending the human who'd just kissed him. Elena stared at him, her carefully constructed composure cracking like ice over deep water. Adam, you can't be serious. She humiliated us. She humiliated me in front of the entire supernatural world. Everyone out. His eyes never left Melissa. The engagement party is over. Silence. Then chaos of a different kind. Protests, confused murmurs, chairs scraping as 300 wolves tried to process what they were seeing. But no one argued for long. When Alpha King Adam's steel ended something, it ended. Within minutes, the ballroom began to empty, wolves filing out in tents, whispering clusters, their eyes burning with questions. Melissa stood frozen in the center of the dais, her legs shaking so badly she wasn't sure they'd hold her weight. Her server's apron was torn where claws had caught fabric. Her pulse roared in her ears like a trapped animal. She had done it. She had warned him. Whether she survived the next 5 minutes was no longer something she controlled. Adam raised the champagne glass still in his left hand, looked at it for one long moment, then set it down on the table behind him, untouched. When he finally spoke, his voice was quiet enough that only she could hear. You just kissed me in front of my entire pack, destroyed my engagement, and accused my fiancée of treason. His silver eyes pinned her in place, wolf and man both evaluating, calculating. This recording better be worth your life. Melissa lifted her chin, even though every instinct screamed at her to lower her eyes, to submit, to run. It is, she whispered. Press play. Behind them, Elena Volkova smiled, the kind of smile that promised blood and silver bullets and bodies that would never be found. And Melissa realized with cold, creeping certainty that saving the Alpha King's life might have been the easy part. Surviving what came next would require a miracle, or a monster willing to claim her as his own. Adam pressed play. Melissa watched his face as Elena's voice spilled from the device, crystal clear and damning. The private lounge recording captured everything. The lazy confidence as Elena detailed the assassination plan to her hired rogues, the exact timing of the poison, the chaos that would follow. How she'd seized control of the pack while Adam convulsed on the ballroom floor. How his death would look like a heart attack, tragic and sudden, leaving her perfectly positioned to consolidate power as his grieving widow. The wolfsbane extract works in 30 seconds. Elena's recorded voice purred. He'll be dead before anyone realizes it isn't natural. And that fool Marcus will take the blame. He prepared every glass personally. Adam's expression didn't change. He stood perfectly still, listening to his fiancée plan his murder with the same casual attention she might give to discussing wedding flowers. The only sign of reaction was his eyes, silver bleeding into molten gold as his wolf rose closer to the surface, drawn by rage too vast for his human form to contain. When the recording ended, silence pressed down like a physical weight. The empty ballroom felt cavernous around them, chandeliers casting long shadows that made Melissa's skin crawl. Every instinct screamed to her to run, but running from a predator only triggered the chase. So she stood her ground and waited. "Your name," Adam said finally. His voice was dangerously calm. "Melissa. Melissa Chen." "How long have you worked here, Melissa Chen?" 18 months. "Catering staff. I serve drinks. Refill glasses. Disappear into the background." She kept her voice steady despite the way his gaze pinned her in place. "That's how I heard them. They didn't think a human was worth noticing." "Smart." He circled her slowly, the movement predatory and deliberate. "Evaluating. You overheard a conspiracy to murder the Alpha King, and instead of running, instead of protecting yourself, you recorded evidence and kissed me in front of 300 witnesses. Why?" "Because you would have died." The words came out sharper than she intended. Because she would have gotten away with it. Because someone had to do something. Someone. Adam stopped directly in front of her, close enough that she could feel the heat radiating from his body, smell the wild forest scent that marked him as other. "But why you? You're human. Powerless. This world tears apart people like you for entertainment." "I know exactly what I am." Melissa lifted her chin, meeting his eyes even though every wolf instinct in him was designed to make humans submit. "I'm the waitress who brings you champagne and you don't remember my face 10 seconds later. I'm the one who cleans up after your pack parties and pretends not to hear when wolves discuss which humans would be fun to hunt. I know I'm nothing to you. And yet you risked everything. My sister is 7 years old." The words escaped before she could stop them. "Lily. She's all the family I have left." If Elena had succeeded, if she'd taken control of this pack, do you think she'd let witnesses live? Marcus would be executed. The entire catering staff would disappear. Every human who worked this party would be a loose end. Her hands clenched at her sides. "So no, I didn't do it for you, Alpha King. I did it because letting her win meant Lily would die too." Something shifted in Adam's expression. Not softness, he was too dangerous for that, but a flicker of understanding that felt almost like respect. "Elena will kill you for this," he said quietly. "She's already putting a price on your head. By tomorrow morning, every rogue in the territory will be hunting you. You've made yourself a target that no amount of hiding can protect. I know. You'll be dead within a week. Probably." Melissa's voice didn't shake. She'd accepted this outcome the moment she stepped onto that dais. But at least Lily will have a chance. Marcus will take care of her. He promised me that much. Adam studied her for a long moment, his wolf eyes gleaming in the dim light. When he spoke again, his voice carried a weight that made the air itself feel heavier. "What if I offered you another option?" Melissa's heart stuttered. "What kind of option?" "A blood bond." He said it like a business transaction, cold and calculated. "A temporary mate mark. It would place you under my protection, make you pack, make you untouchable. Elena couldn't kill you without declaring war on me directly. In exchange for what? Your testimony, your cooperation, your complete honesty about everything you saw and heard tonight. His smile was sharp as broken glass. And your willingness to stand beside me while I dismantle everything Elena built. She has allies in my pack, wolves who believed her vision of the future. I need someone she can't buy, can't threaten, can't seduce into betrayal. You need a human shield, Melissa said flatly. I need, Adam corrected, someone who chose to save my life when she had every reason to stay invisible. That's worth more than most wolves can offer. He extended his hand, palm up. The bond would be temporary. 6 months, maybe less. Long enough to eliminate the threat and stabilize the pack. After that, you'd be free to leave with compensation and protection for you and your sister. Melissa stared at his outstretched hand, at the claws that could tear her apart, at the power that thrummed through him like caged lightning. She thought about Lily, waiting at home with Marcus's daughter, about Elena's smile, sharp and promising death, about the choice that had brought her here, the same impossible choice that was presenting itself again. Stay invisible and die anyway, or step into the light and fight. Melissa placed her hand in his. 6 months, she said. Then Lily and I walk away free. Adam's fingers closed around hers, his grip warm and unbreakable. Then we have a deal, Melissa-chan. His eyes flashed gold. Welcome to the pack. The words hung between them like a promise and a threat. Before we seal this, Adam said, releasing her hand, you need to understand what a blood bond actually means. It's not a metaphor. It's not symbolic. He moved to the window overlooking the city, his silhouette sharp against the night skyline. When I mark you, every wolf within 100 miles will know you belong to me. They'll smell my claim on your skin, feel my wolf's presence wrapped around yours like armor. Melissa's throat went dry. And the temporary part? Blood bonds can be broken. Painful, but possible. He turned back to her, and something in his expression made her pulse spike. But while it's active, you'll feel everything I feel when I'm close. Anger, hunger, the wolf's instinct to protect what's mine. And I'll feel you, your fear, your heartbeat, the exact moment anyone threatens you. That sounds invasive. It is. His honesty was brutal. It's also the only thing that will keep you alive. Elena has 36 rogues on her payroll and enough pack sympathizers to make your death look like an accident. The blood bond makes you untouchable. Killing my marked mate would be a declaration of war that even her allies won't risk. Your marked mate, Melissa repeated slowly. The pack will think we're together. Actually together. They'll think exactly what I want them to think, that you're under my protection, and anyone who harms you answers to me. Adam stepped closer, his presence overwhelming in the empty ballroom. But there are rules. You'll move into the pack house tonight. No exceptions. You'll attend pack functions at my side. You'll learn our hierarchy, our laws, our politics. And you'll never, ever lie to me. What about Lily? Your sister comes too. She'll have her own room, security, and education at the pack's private school. No wolf will touch her. His voice dropped to something that might have been gentle on anyone else. I protect what's mine, Melissa. That includes family. She wanted to argue, wanted to find another way that didn't involve binding herself to a werewolf king who looked at her like a strategic asset. But Elena's recorded voice still echoed in her memory, casually planning murder like it was nothing. How does it work? Melissa asked. The marking. Blood exchange. I bite here. His fingers brushed the side of her neck and she shivered. And you drink from my wrist. The bond forms instantly. You'll carry my scent, my mark, my protection. And in return, I help you destroy Elena's network. You help me save the pack from a civil war. Adam's correction was quiet but firm. Elena didn't work alone. She has supporters who believe humans are prey, not allies. Wolves who think my father's old ways, violence and domination, were better than what I'm building. Your presence challenges everything they believe. So I'm bait. You're proof, he countered, that courage matters more than claws. That a human with enough conviction can change the fate of an entire pack. His silver eyes locked on hers. Elena made a mistake when she ignored you. She thought being human made you irrelevant. I won't make that mistake. The words settled over Melissa like a challenge, like a dare. When do we do this? She asked. Adam's smile was sharp and dangerous, and somehow reassuring.
Now.
Before Elena realizes what's happening and tries to stop it, he offered his hand again. And this time when Melissa took it, she felt the electric crackle of power where their skin touched. Last chance to run, Melissa Chin. Once I mark you, there's no going back to invisible. Melissa thought about 12 seconds and an impossible choice. About Lily's laugh and Marcus's promise and the recording that had saved a king. I stopped being invisible the moment I kissed you, she said. Let's finish what I started. Adam's fingers tightened around hers, and she saw the wolf rise in his eyes. Ancient, powerful, and absolutely certain. Then let's make you pack. Adam led her to the center of the empty ballroom where moonlight spilled through the floor-to-ceiling windows, painting everything silver. He shrugged off his jacket, rolling up his shirt sleeve to expose the corded muscle of his forearm. When he looked at her, his eyes were more wolf than man. This will hurt, he said quietly. The bond fights against nature. Human and wolf weren't meant to connect this way. Your body will resist. But if you pull away before it's complete, the bond breaks and you're unprotected. Melissa's heart hammered. What do I do? Trust me. He tilted her head to the side, exposing the vulnerable curve of her neck. His breath was warm against her skin. And don't scream. The pack is listening. She didn't have time to process that before his teeth sank in. Pain exploded through her, white hot and absolute. Not just the bite, but something deeper, something that felt like lightning racing through her veins and rewriting everything it touched. She gasped, fingers digging into Adam's shoulders as her knees buckled. He caught her with his free arm, holding her upright as the wolf's claim burned into her blood. Then his wrist was at her lips, already bleeding from where he'd torn it open with his own teeth. Drink, he commanded, voice rough with wolf speak. Seal the bond. Melissa drank. The taste was copper and wild forests and something electric that made her whole body arch. Power flooded into her, not her own, but his, wrapping around her like a living thing. She felt his wolf, massive and ancient, circling her consciousness like a predator claiming territory. Felt the pack bonds stretching out in every direction, a vast network of connections that suddenly included her. When Adam pulled away, she collapsed against him, shaking and gasping. The world looked different, smelled different. She could hear things she shouldn't be able to hear. Wolves moving in the building's lower levels, cars on streets 3 blocks away, the rustle of wind through trees in the distant park. Breathe, Adam murmured against her hair. Let it settle. But it wouldn't settle. The bond thrummed between them like a second heartbeat, and she could feel him, his satisfaction at a successful marking, his wolf's fierce approval, and underneath it all, something darker. Worry. The weight of what he'd just done. It's done, he said, and she realized he wasn't talking to her. Wolves emerged from the shadows, his inner circle, witnesses to the bonding. 6 of them, all watching her with eyes that gleamed gold in the darkness. Melissa Chin is pack. She carries my mark and my protection. Spread the word. They bowed their heads in acknowledgement, then vanished as silently as they'd appeared. Melissa touched her neck where he'd bitten her. The skin was smooth, healed, but she could feel the mark burning beneath the surface. How long before Elena knows? She already knows. Adam's phone was buzzing with incoming messages. Every wolf in the territory felt it the moment I marked you. The Alpha King taking a mate sends a shockwave through the pack bonds. He showed her the screen, dozens of notifications, all demanding explanations. Welcome to pack politics. 3 hours later, Melissa stood in the pack house's great hall, drowning in supernatural attention. 60 wolves filled the space, all of them staring at the human wearing their alpha's mark. Some looked curious. Others looked hostile. All of them looked hungry. Adam's hand rested possessively on her lower back, a clear signal of ownership that made her skin crawl and kept her alive in equal measure. "This is Melissa," he announced, his voice carrying the weight of absolute authority. "My marked mate. She saved my life tonight when others would have let me die. She showed more loyalty in one moment than some of you have shown in years." His eyes swept the crowd, and several wolves dropped their gazes. "Anyone who challenges her challenges me. Anyone who harms her dies. Are we clear?" Silence. Then, slowly, wolves began to bow their heads in acknowledgement. Not all of them. Melissa saw the dissenters, older wolves whose lips curled in disgust, younger ones who looked at her like she was dinner, a cluster of females whose jealousy rolled off them in waves. "Crystal clear, Alpha," someone said from the back. But the words dripped with sarcasm. Adam's wolf surged forward, and the temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. "Marcus, step forward." A gray-haired wolf emerged from the crowd, had held high despite the direct challenge. "You marked a human. The pack deserves an explanation beyond pretty speeches about loyalty." "The pack," Adam said coldly, "gets what I give them. But since you asked, Melissa uncovered a conspiracy that would have ended my life and thrown us into chaos. She risked everything to deliver proof when she could have stayed silent and saved herself. That makes her more valuable than half the wolves in this room." "She's prey," Marcus spat. "Marking prey doesn't make it pack. It makes you weak." The bond flared between them, and Melissa felt Adam's rage like a physical force. His wolf wanted blood, wanted to tear Marcus apart for the disrespect. She felt his control fracturing, felt the violence rising. "Then I guess I'm lucky," Melissa said, her voice cutting through the tension, "that your alpha values courage over claws." Every eye turned to her. Adam's hand tightened on her back, warning or support. She couldn't tell. "I may be human," she continued, meeting Marcus's hostile glare, "but I'm the one who stopped an assassination while you were too busy enjoying champagne to notice your Alpha King was about to die. So, if that makes me prey, what does that make you?" Silence. Absolute and ringing. Then someone laughed, a sharp bark of surprised amusement. Others joined in. Not everyone, but enough. Marcus's face flushed with humiliation, and Melissa knew she'd just made an enemy. But Adam's approval flooded through the bond, warm and fierce and proud. "Anyone else have questions?" Adam asked softly, dangerously. No one spoke. "Good." He pulled Melissa closer, the gesture possessive and deliberate. "Then welcome your new pack member. And pray she shows you more mercy than you've shown her." As the crowd dispersed, Melissa felt the mark on her neck burning like a brand. She was visible now. Claimed. Protected. And completely, utterly trapped in a world that wanted her dead. The bond was supposed to be temporary. Clinical. A strategic arrangement with an expiration date. That lasted exactly 4 days. Melissa woke on the 5th morning to find Adam standing in her doorway, his eyes blazing gold and his control visibly fraying. She could feel his wolf through the bond, pacing, agitated, fixated on her in a way that made her pulse spike. "You need to stay in your room today," he said, voice rough. "Don't ask why. Just trust me." "What's wrong?" She sat up, and his eyes tracked the movement with predatory focus.
Adam,
My wolf thinks you're mine. The admission came out like a confession and a threat. Not temporarily. Not strategically. Actually mine. It started yesterday during the council meeting when Garrett stood too close to you. I almost ripped his throat out for breathing your air. Melissa's stomach dropped. That's not supposed to happen with a blood bond.
no.
It's not. Adam's hands clenched at his sides. Blood bonds are contracts. Temporary. But a true mate bond. He stopped, jaw tight. My wolf is rewriting the rules. Every instinct I have is screaming that you're my fated mate, and if I come any closer right now, I will mark you again.
Permanently.
And you won't get a choice. The bond pulsed between them, hot and insistent. She could feel what he felt, the overwhelming need to claim, to protect, to possess. It terrified her. It also made something deep in her chest ache with recognition. How long can you fight it? She whispered. I don't know. His voice cracked. Hours. Maybe days. But Melissa, his eyes met hers, desperate and dangerous. You need to understand. If this bond completes, if it becomes a true mate bond, there's no breaking it. Ever. You'll be bound to me for life, and I won't let you leave when the 6 months are up. I won't be able to. He left before she could respond, the door closing with careful precision that betrayed how close he was to losing control. Melissa touched the mark on her neck, feeling it burn hotter than before.
The bond had changed.
She'd felt it happening gradually, the way Adam's emotions bled through stronger each day, the way her body responded to his presence with increasing intensity, the way she'd started dreaming his dreams, feeling his wolf like a second heartbeat in her chest. But it wasn't just him. She was changing too. That night at dinner, surrounded by pack members in the Great Hall, Melissa felt it for the first time. Pack bonds forming that had nothing to do with Adam's mark. Threads of connection reaching out from her to other wolves, delicate but real. Young wolves looked to her for reassurance. Older ones nodded in acknowledgement when she spoke. Even Marcus, hostile and resentful, couldn't fully block the bond trying to form between them. She was becoming pack. Not because of Adam's protection, but because something in her was adapting, reaching back, accepting the connections being offered. Impossible, whispered Kara, Adam's sister, and the pack's healer, watching Melissa interact with a group of juveniles who'd approached her with questions. Humans don't bond with pack. They can carry a mate's mark, but they can't form individual bonds. It's biologically impossible. Apparently no one told her that. Adam murmured from across the room. Melissa felt his attention on her like physical touch, felt his wolf's satisfaction and growing possessiveness. She's not just surviving in our world, Kara. She's becoming part of it. That's not a blood bond anymore, brother. You know what this means. I know.
His voice was raw.
I'm fighting a losing battle against fate itself. Later, when Melissa returned to her room, she found Adam waiting in the hallway. The control he'd maintained all day had thinned to nothing. She could feel his wolf just beneath his skin, could smell the wild forest scent of him stronger than ever. I can't stay away anymore, he said quietly. My wolf won't allow it. But I need you to tell me to leave. I need you to reject this bond before it's too late. Melissa should have told him to go. Should have protected herself from a future she never chose. But the bond hummed between them like destiny, and she could feel her own heart reaching for his with terrifying certainty. What if I don't want you to leave? The words escaped before she could stop them. Adam's eyes flashed bright gold. Then we're both lost. He crossed the distance between them in 2 steps, his hand curving around her neck where his mark burned beneath her skin. The bond ignited like wildfire, and Melissa gasped as she felt it, the mate bond completing, locking into place with devastating finality. Not temporary. Not strategic.
Real.
Mine. His wolf growled through him. Always mine. And Melissa, feeling the pack bonds solidify around her and Adam's soul twining with hers through the mate bond, could only whisper back, yours. The temporary arrangement had just become permanent, and neither of them could bring themselves to regret it. The challenge came 3 days later, delivered by a messenger who bled on the pack house steps. Alpha Dominic Cross of the Northern Territory formally contested Adam's right to rule, citing the ancient law that prohibited weak leadership. His evidence was simple and devastating. The Alpha King had bound himself to a human. A mate who could not fight, could not defend the pack, could not even shift under the full moon. Adam Steele had chosen love over strength, and by pack law, that made him unfit to lead. He's calling for a dominance trial, Kara said, reading the blood-sealed challenge scroll with shaking hands. Single combat. Winner takes both territories. Adam stood at the window, every line of his body radiating controlled fury. Dominic's been looking for an excuse to expand south for years. Elena handed him the perfect opening. Melissa felt ice spreading through her chest. Through the mate bond, she felt Adam's wolf snarling, ready for battle, but also his cold calculation. Dominic Cross was older, brutal, and had never lost a challenge. He'd killed 3 alphas to build his territory. How did Elena contact him? Melissa asked. Pack informants. Adam's voice was granite. She's been feeding him intelligence since the engagement ended. Our patrol schedules are weak points, every political fracture in my council. She knew this would come. He turned to face them, eyes blazing gold. Dominic challenges me in 6 days. Full moon. If I lose, he absorbs my territory and everyone in it becomes his. Including you. The words hung like a death sentence. Melissa had heard the stories about Dominic's pack. Humans were sport there, hunted for entertainment. If Adam lost, she wouldn't just lose her mate. She'd lose everything. Can you beat him? She whispered. I don't know. The honesty cut deeper than any lie. He's bigger, older, and he fights without mercy. My advantage is speed and strategy, but in a dominance trial, Adam's jaw clenched. It's pure violence. The wolf who wants it more wins. And he wants my territory badly enough to die for it. Over the next 5 days, Melissa watched Adam prepare. He trained until blood soaked through his clothes, pushed his body past limits that should have broken him. The pack watched with increasing anxiety, sensing their alpha's desperation. Elena's supporters grew bolder, whispering that perhaps Dominic's rule would be better than a king who chose a human over pack strength. On the 6th morning, Melissa woke to find Adam already gone. The mate bond stretched taut between them, leading her to the training grounds where he stood alone in the pre-dawn darkness. You should be resting, she said quietly.
Can't rest.
Can't stop thinking about what happens to you if I lose. He pulled her close, and she felt his wolf trembling just beneath his skin. Dominic won't honor our mate bond. He'll kill you to prove I was weak for choosing you. Then don't lose. Melissa pressed her hand to his chest, feeling his heartbeat racing. You're the Alpha King for a reason, Adam. You've survived challenges before. Not like this. Not when losing means, his voice broke. I can't lose you, Melissa. My wolf won't survive it. You won't lose me. She made the promise with a certainty she didn't feel. We didn't survive Elena's poison and pack politics and a mate bond that rewrote the rules just to fall now. But as the full moon rose that evening and wolves from 6 territories gathered to witness the challenge, Melissa felt fear like she'd never known. The challenge ground was a cleared circle of earth surrounded by hundreds of watching wolves, all howling their anticipation. Dominic Cross entered first, massive, scarred, his wolf radiating predatory confidence. He looked at Melissa with eyes that promised suffering, and she felt Adam's wolf surge with protective rage through the bond. This is what you chose over pack strength. Dominic called out, his voice carrying to every witness. A fragile human who can't even defend herself? You've made yourself weak, Steel. And weakness dies. Adam stepped into the circle, and Melissa felt his determination crystallize through the mate bond. Then let's see who dies tonight. The challenge began with a howl that shattered the night, and Melissa could only watch as the two alphas collided in an explosion of fur and fangs and brutal, primal violence. Blood painted the earth within seconds. Dominic fought like a hurricane, all raw power and devastating force, each strike designed to cripple. Adam moved like lightning, dodging and striking with surgical precision, but Melissa could feel his exhaustion bleeding through the mate bond. Every wound Dominic inflicted, she felt as phantom pain ripping through her own body. The fight lasted 19 minutes that felt like hours. When it ended, Dominic lay dead in the dirt, his throat torn open, and Adam stood victorious, but barely conscious. The gathered wolves howled their acceptance of his dominance, and Melissa ran to him as he collapsed into her arms. "You won," she whispered, pressing her hands to the gashes across his ribs. "Adam, you won. For now." His voice was rough with pain. "But Elena's not done. She never."
His phone rang.
Kara answered it, her face draining of color as she listened.
"Adam."
Her voice cracked. "It's Elena. She says she has Lily." The world stopped. Melissa snatched the phone, Elena's cold laughter spilling through the speaker. "Hello, Melissa. Congratulations on your mate's victory. Such a shame it won't matter." "Where is she?" Melissa's voice came out raw, desperate. "Where's my sister?" "Somewhere safe. For now." Elena's tone was poisonous honey. "I have a proposal for you. Come to me alone, no pack, no Alpha King, no protection, and I'll let the child go unharmed. Refuse, and I'll send her back to you in pieces." "You're insane," Adam growled, taking the phone. "I'll find you, Elena. I'll tear apart every hiding place you have." "You can try, but you won't find me in time. I've left the territory, Adam. I'm beyond your reach, beyond pack law. And I have something you want." Her voice turned to ice. "Your mate has 24 hours to present herself at the old Riverside warehouse.
Alone.
Unarmed. If I see a single wolf following her, if I smell pack on the wind, the girl dies. Choose carefully, Alpha King, your mate's life or her sister's." The line went dead. Melissa felt the world tilting sideways.
Lily.
7 years old, terrified, in Elena's hands. Through the mate bond, she felt Adam's wolf roaring with protective fury, felt his desperation warring with brutal calculation. "You're not going," Adam said flatly. "We'll find another way." "There is no other way." Melissa's voice shook but held steady. "She's my sister. My responsibility. I won't let her die, because I chose to be with you. If you go to Elena, you die. She'll execute you to prove I was wrong to choose a human mate. She'll broadcast it to every pack, use your death to destabilize everything we've built." Adam gripped her shoulders, his eyes blazing. "I won't lose you. And I won't lose Lily." Tears burned down her face. "She's innocent. She doesn't deserve this." "Neither do you." The mate bond stretched between them, both of them feeling the impossible choice. Pack law said Adam couldn't abandon his territory to chase Elena beyond his borders. Leaving would show weakness, invite more challenges. But staying meant watching Melissa walk into certain death. "There has to be a way to save them both," Kara whispered. "There has to be." But as the hours ticked down, no solution emerged. Elena had planned this perfectly, using Lily as bait to force Melissa into the open and Adam into paralysis. By dawn, Melissa had made her decision. She wrote Adam a letter explaining everything, then slipped out of the pack house before sunrise while he slept, exhausted from the challenge. The mate bond screamed at her to stay, to trust him, but she couldn't risk Lily's life on hope. The riverside warehouse loomed ahead like a tomb, and Melissa walked through its rusted doors knowing she might never walk out. Elena waited in the center of the empty space, surrounded by rogue wolves, with Lily bound and gagged beside her. "How noble," Elena purred. "The human who thought she could steal an alpha king. Let's see if he comes to save you, or if he finally chooses his pack over a fragile little mate." Melissa met her sister's terrified eyes and felt the mate bond stretch taut as Adam woke to find her gone. She'd gambled everything on one last impossible choice. Now they'd all see if love was stronger than pack law. Adam arrived 30 seconds before Elena would have slit Melissa's throat. He came through the warehouse ceiling in a controlled fall of shattered glass and moonlight, his wolf massive and silver-furred and absolutely lethal. The rogue wolves scattered, but Elena stood her ground, blade pressed to Melissa's neck hard enough to draw blood. "One more step and she dies," Elena hissed. "You were always going to kill her." Adam's voice was pure wolf, inhuman and terrifying. "That's why I didn't come alone." Kara burst through the side entrance with 12 pack warriors, moving with coordinated precision. They tore through the rogues like a summer storm, and within seconds, only Elena remained standing. She pressed the blade harder, desperation replacing her composure. "I should have been your mate," she snarled. "I'm strong, powerful, everything she's not. She saved my life when you tried to end it." Adam stalked closer, his wolf eyes blazing. "She walked into certain death to save her sister. She became pack despite being human. You're right, Elena. She's everything you're not. She has courage where you only have ambition." Elena's hand trembled. Then she smiled, sharp and vicious. "If I can't have you, neither can she." The blade moved. Melissa felt it slice deep, felt her own blood spilling hot and fast. Through the mate bond, she felt Adam's wolf shatter with rage and grief. He moved faster than physics allowed, tearing Elena apart in 3 brutal strikes that painted the concrete red. But Melissa was dying. She could feel it, the cold spreading through her limbs, the darkness creeping in at the edges of her vision. Adam pulled her into his arms, his hands desperately trying to stop the bleeding that wouldn't stop. His voice broke. "No, you don't get to leave me. Not after everything." "Lily," Melissa gasped. "Save Lily. She's safe. Kara has her." Adam's tears fell on her face. "But I can't lose you. I won't." "Adam." Kara's voice was urgent. "There's only one way. The turning. It's forbidden, dangerous, but do it." Adam's command cut through everything. "I don't care about the law. I don't care about the consequences. If there's a chance to save her, I take it." What followed was agony beyond description. Adam's bite tore into her shoulder, not to mark but to transform. His blood, ancient, powerful, alpha king blood, flooded into her system, forcing her human cells to rewrite themselves into something new. Melissa screamed as her bones broke and reformed, as her DNA shattered and rebuilt itself into a wolf's genetic code. The transformation took 7 minutes that felt like eternities. When it finally ended, Melissa lay gasping in Adam's arms, no longer dying but no longer entirely human either. "Look at me," Adam whispered, his voice raw with hope and terror. "Melissa, look at me." She opened her eyes, and the world exploded into clarity, sounds, scents, sensations she'd never experienced. She could hear Lily's heartbeat across the warehouse, could smell the pack warrior's relief, could feel the earth humming beneath her with ancient power. "Can you shift?" Kara asked softly. "The turning isn't complete until..." Melissa felt it then, the wolf rising inside her, foreign and familiar all at once. She let go of her human form, and her body shifted with an ease that shouldn't have been possible for a new wolf. The pack warriors gasped. She was white, pure white fur that gleamed like moonlight, marking her as something rare. A wolf born from impossible circumstances, transformed by an alpha king's desperate love. Adam shifted beside her, his silver wolf pressing against her white one. Through the mate bond, she felt his overwhelming relief, his fierce pride, his absolute devotion. Mine, his wolf whispered into her mind. Always mine. Yours, she answered. And you're mine.
Equals now.
They stood together in the wreckage of Elena's last gambit, two wolves, two souls bound beyond breaking. Lily ran to them, crying and laughing, throwing her arms around Melissa's furry neck. You're beautiful, Lily whispered, like a snow wolf from the stories. Melissa shifted back to human form, pulling her sister close. Adam wrapped around them both, his protection absolute and unshakable. It's over, he murmured. Elena's dead. The threats are eliminated. And your pack, truly packed now. No one can challenge our bond. Melissa looked up at him. This alpha king who'd broken forbidden laws to save her, who'd chosen love over tradition and paid the price gladly. What happens now? She asked. Adam's smile was fierce and full of promise. Now we rebuild. Together. As equals. He kissed her forehead, his wolf humming with contentment through their bond. Welcome home, my white wolf. Welcome to forever. And Melissa, surrounded by pack and sister and mate, finally believed she'd found where she belonged. If you enjoyed the story and want more like it, please like the video, drop a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support truly means the world to me and helps this channel grow. Thank you for being here.